Good evening, Trustee. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the office. Going to keep my oral presentation as a brief trustee, a special presentation from my colleague, Dr. Paul. I always like to start by highlighting a written report. Team worked very hard on putting together a great report for the board. Oh,
That's not me.
Worked really hard to put a great report together by tomorrow. Men one today. So I do want to let you know about page 15, there's great information about expanding our internship program with board, water, and light on page 15. Page 17 and 19, there's some great coverage of earned media on our change maker driven study and grand opening. Now page 30, some really nice pictures of next week. But if you go into the slide pack here. First thing, this is my custom newsletter, put in the start. We're really excited that the naming contest for our athletics mascot. Last year, the athletics department requested the development of an LCC mascot costume. But I drove with the trustee, particularly Trustee Thomas, she found a really funny picture of a star wearing red tights. One of my catchphrases is, there are no good stars. But the athletics mascot would be an astronaut star explorer. And we're getting students involved in the name. So there's going to be a March Madness bracketology where the students help us select the name for the athletics and that stuff. So more about that. On the next item of the president's report, one of our students in our meeting, excellent highlight reel of the ribbon cutting, change makers, short. I'd like to show that for the audience.
3, 2, 1.
Sorry. To there.
Kingmaker Center is just something that represents what good, grounded individuals and trailblazers have right here at our fingertips.
have inductees that's here. You have prominent people that's here. We have community leaders in here, but you are here, so give it up for yourselves.
When Patrick has to go, I'm outside. It's my bad. If you're watching the Oxford last night, you might have been surprised to see that there was a tie in the category of short live action film. One of the recipients of the Oscar is a former LCC student named spoke on the prodigal in his speech, and we did a study feedback here at LCC, the film Singers. After the Winds, now on Netflix, so if you want to visit it tonight, you can watch it. It's his second nomination, and before I joined the college, he was nominated but did not win an Oscar in another category in 2019. But super proud to see LCC up on the big Oscar stage last night. Thanks. And next trustees, mostly I highlight what's going on at the college. Here at the beginning of the year, I might highlight a couple of things that I'm doing externally with college, which you wouldn't see. I think I've shared with you that I'm following trustee Proctor's footsteps, and I'm in the chair to become the chair of the MCCA. And right now, the vice chair, president chair, and we alternate between trustees and president. So right now we have trustee chair. Next year it'll be Marshall Washington, my colleague, and then another trustee, and then in the 27, 28 year, I'll be the chair of MCCA. We're also just elected treasurer of the Global Community College Network. Continue to do training in Ohio, Michigan, and the active leadership. And I'm on my second year of being on the editorial board of the Community College Review. And later this week, I'm excited. I'm going to Richmond, Virginia, another college that is situated in the state capital, to do leadership training for the senior leaders and the vice presidents at Reynolds Community College there. So I thought I'd just highlight that for trustees. And then lastly, on the last slide, trustees, you may have seen some of this. Let's take a return from NLF. There's been a flurry of activity in advocacy on federal issues. NCCA and ACCC, Trustee Proctor actually brought this one time-sensitive communication communities to my attention. And I just want to let you know, I've communicated with a few of people about this. Lady Ingram in our office and Ron Ham are all over this. All of the forms that need to be filled out, all of the letters for legislators are out there and going. If you have any questions about this, let me know. But our person in the district on the Hill, Ron Ham, who's a good picture of all of us with him, is on it and filling out all those forms and sending all those stuff. So I did want to let you know that. And I always end trustees with recognizing our new colleagues. So I think you go to the star fire slide. Do we have any of our new employees with us? Could you stand up and introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Heather Peterson. I'm a new professional tutor in science. I just retired from Home High School after 30 years of teaching. I've come all years to
Specifically not, specifically done with the trustees, love to see our new, power. But we always make a little joke of it. You are having, you do something else. You can stay for all for me. You are very welcome, but nobody will feel offended if after you've not even been recognized.
I do have a state science Olympiad board meeting I have to go to.
But thank you for that. And any other colleagues? Well, that's my report, Chairman. So happy to answer any questions, but then I will transition to Dr. Paul's, field of questions. Great, if I could, you remember, trustee, one of my goals, actually goal number one, is to utilize this, president's report, including special presentations, each highlight important areas of the power. And the I have is I asked a few members to put together a few presentations, usually a slide deck, and I personally get those slides to done so that you can in the back of it. So we all have the slides. And so now that we're putting things under Dr. Paul, who runs what I think is one of the best research shops of the community college in the country, research data. So with that entry on introduction, Dr. Paul, we could tell us a little bit about the fundamentals of survey.
Sure. Well, and got a little bit of a hoarse throat, but I will power through. And good evening, trustees, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you tonight. Thank you for the nice introduction, Dr. Robinson. I also think we're one of the best data shops in the world too, but I'm a little biased. So I'm going to do a little bit of background on my department first, just so in case we've got a lot of fairly new-ish board members, and you may not know what it is that we do. We don't necessarily own data, but we are very much stewards and supporters and protectors of the data. This is not an exhaustive list of what we do. We are primarily here to support the rest of the college. It's not an exhaustive list. Most often people tend to think of us in terms of state and federal regulatory reporting. We do a fair amount of that, but we also provide some leadership training, analysis, tracking work for student success data and assessment data. That's primarily what we do. We also provide guidance for academic programs, help people take their student success data and make it meaningful for our students. And we're often asked for guidance in research projects and on surveys, hence this presentation. So there are many surveys that our students are, you good? There are I thought you were talking to me. There are many surveys that our staff and our students have to take every year. And varying importance from accreditation and federal requirement type things, all the way down to like student class projects. Some of them are, done by link. Some of them are direct emails. Some of them are very optional, passing by in a hallway kind of thing. For the more sensitive surveys, we tend to like to do those as a general link and try to protect anonymity as much as possible and give people the confidence to provide their perspective. Again, this isn't an exhaustive list. This is just some ideas by category, some of the stuff that we do throughout the year. Okay, and so that brings me to survey fatigue. I think we're all pretty familiar with what survey fatigue is. What you may not realize is it's not always about how many surveys you're doing, but the quality of the survey that you're trying to fill out as well. So poor survey design, long questions, dead end paths. I mean, these are all really frustrating things. I think we've probably all dealt with them in surveys. They make you want to quit out of the survey. And so the longer the survey you have, even if it's well designed, the more you'll see responses start to drop off as the questions continue. Personally, when I feel like I'm cornered in a question and there's no NA option for me, I tend to dump out. And I'm, trying to do a favor to people by doing their surveys, and even I get tired of it and I quit out. Most often we're designing surveys or helping somebody design a survey. I'm very sensitive, like I said, to the overall length, the sensitivity of the questions, how private of information we're asking, how the responses are being collected. I want folks to be really confident in what they're giving is not going to be embarrassing for them or detrimental for them in any way. We try to avoid poor survey questions. And this is primarily, I would say, the most help I provided for folks is if you want to create a survey here at LCC, you can do it without me, but typically people will come and try to pick up our help. We'll see what's called double-barreled questions a lot. So kind of the famous one is, how would you rate your pay and benefits? Well, there's two different constructs there, right? There's pay and there's benefits, and you might lump them together, you might not. So loaded questions, leading questions, those are the kinds of things we're really trying to clean up as we see stuff come in. I don't want to get in so much and ruin somebody's intent of their survey or their research, but I do want to make sure that the survey that they're putting out is likely to succeed and give them the best results they can get. I have a lot of material. I'm skipping over a bunch of stuff because I know I've got limited time. So the other thing I want to make sure folks understand too is that surveys are not the only research tool. They tend to be a default tool for folks. You think of them as easy to kind of throw together, and they can be easy to throw together, but they're not precision instruments. And we tend to want to use other things to validate the data. So do you have national data? Do you have other survey data? Do you have interviews, personal experience that can kind of back up what you're seeing? Yeah. This is the fun part for me. Promise we won't get too deep into the formulas. I won't spend a lot of time, like I said, on the map, but I do want to touch on a couple of the variables that are included and what goes into actually determining how large of a sample you need. And the first thing I want to talk about is actually what a sample is. So there's populations, the population of the world, the population of LCC, the population of Lansing, and then there's samples, which would be a sliver of that population. In a well-designed sampling method, you will have a representative sample of that population. And there are some statistics I'm not going to get into tonight that help us understand that that actually is representative and inferential. It tells us what that larger population would do. Okay, with that in mind, there are two terms here, accuracy and precision. This is kind of the common graphic I think people have seen before, but upper left corner, you see the darts are all in the center of the dartboard and they're clumped together. That's accurate and precise. To the right of that, they're looped around the bullseye, but they're not real tight. Accurate, but not precise. Bottom left, you threw it, you did the same thing. You threw the dart exactly same spot 4 times in a row. It just wasn't anywhere near that bullseye. So precise, but not accurate. And then of course, not accurate, not precise. Sample size helps us determine how confident we are that the survey results reflect the full population. Bigger samples do lead to tighter clustering and more precision, and good survey design leads to accuracy. And I would actually say that good survey design leads to precision too, but working with the analogy here. There's 3 main factors that go into population size or into sample size. One, obviously the population size, but only to a point. And you'll see that they don't map linearly sample size to population size that's needed. We'll get into that in a second. And then the most important thing, which is the margin of error. How wrong are you willing to be? And then last but not least is the confidence level. Typically we use 95%. That's publishable level, and that's pretty industry standard. What that means is that if we repeated the survey 100 times, 95 of those would land within our margin of error. All right, let's talk about margin of error specifically. Margin of error tells us the threshold of responses we need to determine that the responses are different. So if you don't have a tight enough margin of error, it all starts to look like the same response. We don't need to get into the math too deeply here. Well, in fact, I'm I'll say, let's jump first to what is a good margin of error. So 10% I have on here is pretty loose, and that is, so in my example, I'm saying 75% of students are reporting a satisfaction with plus or minus 5% margin of error. The actual value is somewhere between 70 and 80%. If we said 10%, that would be 65 and 85%, right? So that starts to become kind of not useful information, maybe directional, maybe polling information. That's about it. 5% is probably more standard. So 75% say they're satisfied, somewhere between 70 and 80%. That's pretty comfortable. You know, we're not making watches here. This isn't a precision instrument. Once we get to 3%, that's really precise, and you probably don't have an instrument, a survey that's going to get you much past that. So even if your margin of error is better than this, I would wonder, or I would check into how valid is your survey. And there's a lot of work that goes into validating surveys and that type of thing. That's quite tight. All right, let's talk about that formula for just a second. So we're going to go through the variables real quick. Notice that sample size, which is the little n, is in there. And so if we did some algebra, we could get that n all by itself and everything off to the other side of the equal sign. And so you can calculate sample size without knowing the population. It's super conservative. If you do the math, it ends up being like 1,067 samples. I'll dig into that a little bit. We can actually correct for population size, and I'll do that on the next slide. And that allows us to get a little tighter. We don't need quite as many samples when we do that. The Z-score, that's all based on the confidence. Like we wanted 95%, that's what the Z-score is going to be. And the sample proportion, this is kind of a silly one that's in here. You never know what the proportion is until you've done the survey. So very rarely do you ever put anything in here. We make this as conservative as possible and say, there's a 50-50 chance that they're going to say one thing or the other. And so that drives our sample size up a bit. This is the added complexity of handling the population size. Now, looks ugly, but I'm going to show you that it actually makes our lives a whole lot easier because we know, again, all of the variables. We know our population size or close to our population size usually. We know what margin of error we want to go after usually. We know the confidence level, again, 95%. And that percentage value, we always default that to the most conservative thing possible, 50-50 chance. Once you do that, you can develop a table. And so you don't have to do the math, but this also shows and illustrates kind of an important piece here too. So down the left side is the population size. And then it has the plus or minus the different margins of error that you can use. Remember, I said 10%, not real good. 5%, pretty average stuff. 3%, pretty precise stuff. But as we're going down the population size, we see that the sample size does not continue to go up at the same rate that the population size goes. We went back and we played around with math. You see, there's fractions in there and stuff. That's why it's holding us there. And remember, I said if you did that calculation without knowing the population, you end up with 1,067. As you can see on this chart from SurveyMonkey, it has it at 1,100, at 100,000 plus. This is how I prefer to calculate this, and these are just free calculators that are available. And you can play around with them a little bit to get a sense for how many people, oh, and I should say too, when I say samples, I really mean responses. When you may need 1,000 responses, that may mean you send out 3,000 or 5,000 surveys to get those 1,000 responses. That's your threshold that you're targeting. These calculators are free. I just put in here 10,000 as a population size, confidence interval 95, the tight 3% margin of error. You can see two different groups give you the same value. Remember from the first survey fatigue slide, though, that sample size is not the end all be all. This is important to understand how much error you may have in the results that you have, but the design, I would say, is every bit as important. When you've got poor questions, poorly worded questions, bad grammar, difficult to understand, irrelevant questions, it's a struggle to get people to finish the survey. It's a struggle to get good responses. People will straight line, just hit C, 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 C all the way down, or, or you'll get the angry answers where they just give you the extremes on everything. Okay, so in conclusion, surveys, powerful tool. We like them. They're easy to spool up pretty quickly, collect data. You can use them everywhere from temperature checks to serious scientific studies. It really kind of comes down to how much resources you're willing to put into them. You can develop a survey, and that can be a doctoral dissertation level project. So that's extreme levels of math. You're gonna have to find a framework, validate the framework, create questions, a bunch of math to validate the questions. It can be that complicated, or it can be as quick as a couple of responses. We just need to double check. Hey, national data is looking this way. Hey, the local data is trending this way. What are our students saying? In the past, they've said this. What are they saying now? It's useful for that as well. There's lots of different ways that kind of break what I showed you too. One of my favorite examples I like to give is Meyer a couple of years ago. When you would go check out, I don't know if they're still doing this, but you'd check out and you get like a 1-question survey. Was the store clean today? Did you find what you wanted? Or maybe there's only 2 or 3 questions. And that, although it's not, you're getting a lot of the same people responding, it lets you react quickly. Oh boy, there's a lot of people today saying that the store on East Michigan is not clean. Let's go look at it. So that's my presentation. There's a lot of information here. I'm really trying to keep it at a higher level. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer.
To us a bit as it relates to like how many surveys you've done, say year to date, and kind of like of the surveys you've done here at LCC, where's our average margin of error?
So I would say that we are typically getting like 5% to 15% response rates, which push us somewhere in the 5%. If you look at the count, somewhere around in the 5% margin of error for most surveys. Some surveys this doesn't fit well for. For a while, we were doing some, I don't think we do them over in advising anymore, but we had like a kiosk set up, and as you left, you would go and you'd get a bank of, I modeled it after the Meyer model. And so you would kind of get that bank of 4 or 5 questions and answer it that way. As far as how many surveys, there are so many surveys. So community college, we've got programs running all the time. Faculty are teaching students to run surveys. They're running them for projects and that kind of thing. I don't get in the way of any of that stuff. As far as our support services, most of them have some kind of evaluation that goes along with them. I think most of the student service areas have something. Usually we help them design that, and then we hand that over to them, and they use that to help run their area. And so they may be an ongoing thing where there is no end to it. And so it's more of the course correcting intent. Purpose is really going to drive what your survey is for. Are you trying to get to some kind of scientific research-based publishable change that you're trying to measure? Or are you trying to like run your daily operations? So that all of that stuff can kind of affect that.
If I may, Chair. So are you helping, say, departments or individuals just design their study or surveys, or are they like putting in a request and you're designing it, or is there a mixture of both?
So about a year ago, we created a new SOP, standard operating procedure. And part of it was trying to get my hands around how many surveys go out that impact large amounts of people. So the SOP is for surveys of large scale. It's got a great name. But essentially, if you're going multiple departments or a division or something like that, if it's student-based, your first step is to reach out to me. I take a look at what's your purpose, what are you trying to find, what are your questions. I'll go through the questions and work with you and help develop questions and format and everything that makes sense. Then we'll take it to either provost cabinet if it's for students, or executive leadership team if it's employees and students or employees. and have them take a look at it and be aware that this is out there. Part of that is to be aware of how many large surveys are out there. I can't stop, nor do I want to stop the little ones that are happening all over the place. They have their own function. I want to be careful how many times we're asking everybody to answer a survey. So we take a look at that. Once that's done, I will look at it from the perspective of a Human Subjects Institutional Review Board, or HSIRB, and say, hey, this is actually an ethical issue, or needs to actually go through a full review before you move forward with your research project. In those cases, it will go to the IRB before it gets approved and move forward, and then they meet up with the communications team. It's actually kind of a nice system. We've done this probably 3 or 4 or 5 times, I think, this year. It seems to be moving pretty good. We're working some of the kinks out of that. Some of the smaller stuff, I do have people reach out to me. They're working on a sabbatical project, or they're getting ready to submit something to the IRB, or they're just, hey, I'd like to do a marketing thing, or I'd like to do this thing. And we'll go through, it all starts with the purpose. What are you trying to do? Who are you trying to reach out to? And then we work through the questions, make sure, and they understand too what they're getting at the end of it. And then we determine, is that this should be a paper survey, or this should go to through D2L, or this can go through SurveyMonkey and get sent out, or it's a general link, or it's an emailed link. Like, we work out all of those details to try to support them as best I can. And it sounds like this is all I do. This is a small part of my job, but.
Hi. So I was wondering what prompted this presentation today, especially since, one, we looked at the last survey and it kind of stated that mental health was a big deal in our college with our students. But like, is there a concern about the survey volume? Is there like a broader effort to coordinate with this? Like, what prompted this?
I can answer that, Chair Matthews. It's a great question. So mental health is one of the topics that we've decided to do this year, and I think we're going to do it in Mental Health Awareness Month. But of the things that the board has been interested and talked about, one of them was how we utilize survey data, what constitutes a good sample size. And in the spirit of that goal that I had, the first goal of taking some of our internal college operations that aren't always visible to the board, I was talking with my teammates, talking with Dr. Welch, and this was one of the first ones that I knew we had shelf ready to go, that Dr. Fall could come and talk to us about how we use survey data, some of the methodology. So the choice was mine, and the idea is for the whole year to bring topics like this that don't always come to the board. Mental health would be one of them. Another one that was requested was a look into workforce. So one of the things that we'll have a presentation like the one Dr. Fall did, probably timed with when Workforce Pell comes online later in the year. So my decision about how to bring some of the things forward to the board that aren't always visible.
I would just add, it's something you see all the time. We present survey stuff. You are confronted with survey stuff. That might be a little bit interesting.
I was just making sure it wasn't because I was questioning the last survey, so I wanted to make sure that was no problem. I get it, because I'm like, okay, I know how the surveys work. I'm intelligent, so I was making sure it wasn't that. But my other question is, what was the sample size for the STAY survey that was completed in 2022? And you may not know it, but
Which survey is that you're referring to?
the STAY interview.
Oh, I did not work on that one.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I can't help you on that one.
I'm sure they'll get it to me. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this. I needed this, okay? And I understand that it's more the methodology of the way you do surveys and the calculation and the sample size, and all that does matter. I had a chance to chat with Dr. Robinson a little bit, but so in the context of national surveys, with community colleges, and I understand they're useful in the broader aspect, right? But do we do surveys? Do we have anything in place to gather demographic information about students in different programs, student needs? And if so, what does that look like? You know, just to keep, like, do we have something a little more local and relevant that we utilize? Because I do believe that that would help with decision-making and also with understanding the exact needs of our students. I think about our last board meeting, we were talking about the food pantry, and if we had something right then and there that we could just kind of, you know, gather and get and look at and stuff like that, I think the conversation would have been slightly different. But what does that look like? Do we have a program like that instead of just the national bigger piece
So
of it?
for, remember, we know all of our students and their declared demographics. So for academic programs, we have an institutional dashboard that we've built that any of our employees are able to go in and look at by academic program. They can split it down to the different demographics. They can look at, we have some intersectionality stuff built into there too that they can kind of play around with. The problem we run into at the program level is that it starts to get, the end gets so small that we have to be really careful what demographic information we share, because all of a sudden you're saying, hey, that's a Matt Fall. That's, you know, I know exactly who that person is. So we always, that is a little bit of a suppression problem that happens when we start to get small. As far as like student services programs and that type of thing, I do not believe we are currently matching up demographics to some of those results. Again, that one's kind of sensitive depending on what area they're working in. If we're doing advising appointments, we'll be real careful that we're not, that we're protecting identity. And so we tend to speak in terms of aggregate, everybody who went to advising, everybody who went to tutoring, everybody, because then we can do some of those splits, but we don't have to single down to a particular tutoring session on Tuesday in the afternoon, and there were 2 African-American and 1 white person. Well, you can maybe figure out who that was. So we're pretty sensitive to that. I'm not opposed to pulling the demographic information or asking for it on a survey. It does get to a balance of, I know it's an easy question to answer. If it doesn't feel like it applies to the purpose, the responder may not respond to it. You have a clock ticking the second they open that survey and they want to get through that survey if they're going to fill it out. So if they're filling out, this is my age, this is my approximate wage, this is my, you're going to lose them by the time you get to the actual meat of the survey. So we're careful of that too. Not that it can't be done. It's just, it has a cost. Everything has a cost. Wait, we can, what program are you in? Do you have intention to go on a graduate school? Do you have intention to go into the workforce? A lot of stuff that we can ask up front. If it's not to the purpose of the survey, I think we got to be real careful about that. If you want to know what's the racial or ethnic background of folks who are interested in X, then you absolutely put that in part of your survey. That's not the original intent. If the intent is, hey, we're just trying to figure out what the student population is interested in, it might just be a survey sample. It might be a survey of convenience sampling is what that's called, where it's everybody who's willing to come and partake in the survey. It's not statistically derived, the sampling methodology.
Thank you for answering that.
I understand we wouldn't put student names, obviously. I know you mentioned that, and we would definitely keep it high level. You know what I mean? When it
At
comes
the
to
aggregate level, it's usually not a problem.
yeah.
We can usually do that, no problem.
So, because I know we talked about a program at one of the ACCT conferences, I went to a session and totally loved this session, but they talked about a company they use. They broke it down for different colleges. I actually followed them on LinkedIn, and they're breaking down this information so that that college has those demographics just in case they want to use it for whatever the program we're trying to develop, or, you know, so that was the reason for my question, like, do we have something like that? And what's the name of the program we use?
Sometimes, yes.
Okay.
Any questions for?
Thank you, Chair Matthews. And again, this is just one of many different thematic issues to kind of pull forward to the board, stuff that I know matters on the list so far: workforce, mental health awareness. And again, it's kind of approximating some of the things that we've talked about maybe having workshops where, outside of the business of the board, it would be my intention to bring our colleagues to the podium to kind of elucidate or draw the curtain back on some of the things that happen behind the scenes here at the college. So thank you, Dr. Fall, and all your colleagues in CDS. And that's my president's report, Chair Matthew.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. We're going to move on to our consent agenda action items. Colleagues, are there any items that you would like pulled off of the consent agenda to have some further discussions? Are there any of these items?
Yes, Chair Matthews.
Okay, Trustee Lavelle.
For the under the cooperative purchase, section D, would like to pull number 2 and number 4, data loss prevention and endpoint detection and response.
Okay. Trustee Taylor.
I also would like to pull letter D, items 1 through 4. I have a broad question.
All right, so it has been mentioned by Trustee Thomas.
Sorry. The approval of bank resolutions.
Okay, so that is consent agenda item A, 1 and 2. Yes. Okay, all right. So is there a motion to approve consent agenda item B, board bylaws, number 1.0, authority to adopt, suspend, and revise bylaws, revised edition to 1.1, membership revised, as well as consent agenda item C, Board of Trustees employees for employees expenses and time reporting for February, and item number E, FY 2027 tuition rates. Is there a motion to approve those consent agenda items? Thank you, Vice Chair Frazier. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Thomas. It has been moved by Trustee Frazier and a second by Trustee Thomas to approve consent agenda items B, 1 and 2, C, 1, 2, and E. Are there any discussions? Seeing and hearing none. Ms. Duncan, please call the roll.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Noel Garcia, Shannon Taylor.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve bank resolutions 1 and 2?
So move.
Thank you, Trustee Lavelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Trustee Proctor. It has been moved by Trustee Lavelle and second by Trustee Proctor to approve item number A under the consent agenda, approval of bank resolutions number 1, resolution authorizing electronic funds transfer, and let me do this. I'm going to back up. Let's take 1 and 2 separately. So, Trustee Lavelle and Trustee Proctor, approving consent agenda item A, 1, resolution authorizing electronic funds transfers. Discussion? Trustee Thomas?
Looking at Proctor.
I'm eating all the candy.
Like, don't eat the good ones. Could you provide an overview of the authorization process for banking transactions, including who has signing authority, what approvals are required, and what safeguards are in place?
Chair Matthews,
To
yeah.
ensure proper oversight.
Yeah. A great question. And I'm going to buy my colleague Don Wilski a minute to get on. He is joining us remotely because of the weather. It's an excellent question, Trustee Thomas, and the answer is thematically linked to number 2 as well. It has to do to board authorization of who can facilitate our electronic bank transfers. And for a more complete explanation of the why, if I could turn things over to CFO Wilski.
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. As you said, both 1 and 2 are related and on the agenda for the same reason. Our associate controller has accepted another position within financial services. And so, in fact, that was effective as of today. And so we need to file with our financial institutions who are still authorized signers for the college. By position, it's the chief financial officer, the controller, and the associate controller have signatory authority based upon resolutions approved by the board. So it's happens when there's a change in staff. When one person leaves a position, one of those 3 positions, we need a bank resolution by the board to take them off as an authorized signer. And when a new person comes on and employed by the college, when we employ a new associate controller, you will be coming back with another set of resolutions to have that individual added to the authorized signature authority.
Do we know how long, well, no, we don't, but how long it would take to fill that position? And I don't know, the 3 strand is better than 2 to me, but do you kind of have anyone in mind or?
No, we are currently working with human resources to put together the hiring plan and to get the position posted as soon as we possibly can do that. Obviously, from a personal standpoint and standpoint of our controller, Megan Garrett, we want to fill the position just as soon as we can, but we also want to make sure we do a thorough search and hire the right individual.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good, Don, a follow-up question. I wanted to re-ask Trustee Thomas's very excellent question about the difference between having 2 signatures and 3. I know you want 3. Are there any challenges facing the college with there only being 2 while you're doing the search?
There should not be any real challenges. We have, obviously, myself and Megan Garrett, we back each other up. And we make sure that at least one of us is going to be available to handle anything that's necessary. But as indicated, we're always more comfortable when we have 3. There was a point in time, not that long ago, where we only had 2. And we came back to the board and asked to have a 3rd position authorized to be able to be an authorized signer on behalf of the college, so that we were in essence 3 deep.
Angela Matthews, LaShonda Thomas, Hope Lavelle.
Aye.
Chatham Taylor.
Aye.
Terrence Frazier.
Aye.
Robert Proctor. Noel Garcia. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda item under A number 2, resolution designating authorized representative?
So move.
Second.
And then moved by Trustee Lavelle, second by Trustee. Oh, I'm sorry. It has been moved by Trustee Lavelle, second by Trustee Proctor, to approve the resolution designating authorized representatives. Any discussion? That's your question answered? Okay. All right, Ms. Duncan, call the roll. Chatham Taylor.
Aye.
LaShonda Thomas.
Aye.
Angela Matthews. Yes. Robert Proctor.
Aye.
Lavelle.
Aye.
Terrence Frazier.
Aye.
Noel Garcia. Motion carried. Thank you. Moving on to consent agenda item number D. So I'm gonna defer to the sheriff a little bit here. So we have 2 trustees that have pulled this agenda item off of the consent agenda. And one trustee with discussions probably 1 through 4, and then the second trustee with items 2 and 4. So what would your expertise be in the discussions and this item number D? Seeing that
probably
both
would
of them
just
have the same.
Take them up separately and let them
Okay.
ask their individual questions.
Okay, thank you. All right. Is there a motion to approve agenda item D, number 1, under cooperative purchase, cylinder replacement for fire suspension system?
So moved.
Okay, it's been,
Not a proper motion, but
what was that?
never mind. I move.
Okay, so it has been moved by trustee Proctor and second by trustee Lavelle to approve consent agenda item D, cooperative purchase, number 1, cylinder replacement for fire suspension system. Discussion. Trustee Lavelle? Oh, no, trustee Taylor.
I removed all of them. So, okay. So mine is an overall question. Okay. So my overall question, I'm kind of throwing out. Okay. So, when it concerns the cooperative purchases, there's several all of them state that, that we're using cooperative purchases over soliciting bids. And while I appreciate the administration's, effort in managing our cooperative agreements, and maintenance needs and things of that nature. I just wanted to ask, what specific criteria is established for the decision to use cooperative agreements instead of soliciting bids? The reason I ask is, how does the administration ensure that we're meeting those criteria when determining the better option for expenditures of these significant amounts? Because a lot of them were coming out of the same bucket on our budget sheet, and the amounts are, kind of, just up there a little bit. So what's that criteria? What does it look like?
Chair Matthews, if I could, this is a great opportunity for me to recognize our Senior Vice President for Business Operations. Obviously, cooperative purchases have a number of advantages. And in addition to her role as SVP for Business Ops, Dr. Selena Samuel, in a prior life, was a procurement professional and over a lot of these processes. So I've given her a heads up about this, and I really welcome the opportunity for her to explain the advantages and the criteria we use for using cooperative purchases. So if I could, I'd like to call on Dr. Samuel.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Robinson, and thank you, Trustee Taylor, for the question. So in general, as Dr. Robinson mentioned, the cooperative purchases are something that we exercise based on what's best for the procurement. So for instance, there are certain things that everyone purchases, like office supplies. And so it may not be in our best interest to do our own office supply bid. We might want to go to a cooperative because someone has already bid it out. Any major office supply company that you might be interested in, there's a cooperative purchase associated with them. And so it does allow us to streamline our process by reviewing those particular cooperatives versus bidding it out on our own, because it is a very time-consuming process. Sometimes when you bid something out, it could take 3 or 4 months to get where you need to go. So when it's something large that everyone does and everyone has, then a lot of times cooperative purchases are the way to go. In addition to that, if it's something that's highly specialized, like an information technology service product, you also want to make sure that you take a look at your cooperatives, because those are very expensive. And so you're going to get the best bang for your buck most of the time when you work with a cooperative. Now, there are other instances where you're doing something that's small and maybe it's a project that's right here and you might need access to a vendor that's close by. And so you might say, you know what, we're going to bid this out here. And that way, the vendors that we are working with, we know they're going to be within a certain distance from the college, because this actually requires them to come on site and to work with us. So there's a difference. So you really just have to look at it. Each situation is different, but what we're looking for is the best bang for our buck. We want to make sure that we do the best that we can for the college. And in a lot of instances, if I were to go and try to bid something like office supplies just for the college, I'm not going to get the best price pricing, I'm going to get pricing that is more expensive than if I were to go ahead and use a cooperative. And so a lot of times we use the cooperative from the state of Michigan. They have the My Deal program, and I'm sure you've heard of that. And the reason they do that is because they know that local units of government and even themselves use cooperatives from national organizations, because it does take a lot to do a procurement process. That's number one. And number two, sometimes when a group of people are bidding on something together, they get better pricing. And so that's really what we're going for.
Thank you for that, Dr. Samuel. Thank you so much.
I have a question for Dr. Samuel.
Yes, Madam President. Dr. Samuel, how do you know when you've used a cooperative purchasing arrangement that you're getting the best bang for the buck? What's the criteria that you use to make that determination?
Well, you're doing research. Every situation is different. And one of the things that we have at our disposal is a tool that allows us to look at what other local units of government are purchasing items and services for. And so we kind of have a benchmark already. We know what's out there. We know what other people are paying for it. And then we're also investigating multiple cooperatives. We're not just going to one cooperative because it's our favorite. We're going to go and see what's the most advantageous. And we're also going to make sure that it meets the needs of our end user. So it's not necessarily just a decision with our purchasing department. That particular review is going to take place with the end user, because they have to look at the specifications and make sure that they work for them. So it's a process. So just using a cooperative doesn't mean it's you pushing the easy button, because it does take a lot of time to do that research, to review, to make sure that we feel good about our decisions.
Is that a survey project for Dr. Fall?
Not really, but what I will say is we're involved with national procurement organizations. And so sometimes they do surveys, and all across the country, people are using cooperatives, and there's a reason for it.
Don, Ms. Duncan, call the roll.
Terry Frazier,
Aye.
Robert Proctor.
Aye.
Angela Matthews. LaShonda Thomas.
Aye.
Chatham Taylor.
Aye.
Hope Lavelle.
Aye.
Noel Garcia. Motion carried.
All right, moving on to D, cooperative purchase for data prevention. Is there a motion to approve D2? Thank you, trustee Thomas. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, trustee Taylor. It has been moved, a motion by trustee Thomas and second by trustee Taylor to approve D, cooperative purchase, data loss prevention. Discussion, trustee Lavelle.
Thank you. So I do have a couple of questions as it relates to this resolution. So first, so this sounds really interesting. And my first question is, do we currently do and provide our staff with any type of awareness training so that they understand the risk around certain emails that are hitting their box and how to respond appropriately?
Matthews, if I could, the short answer is yes. And that team sends us a lot of tests, including, and that team is here. So if it's all right, I might call upon the CIO, Bill Garlick, and I think I saw Paul Schwartz. He's usually the one who's trying to educate us and trip us up. But Bill, if you don't mind coming to the podium and talking about a little bit of the awareness campaign, which I would rank very high. It's an excellent question, trustee Lavelle.
Yeah, thank you for that question. It's great to be able to talk about it. So there are several opportunities that we take throughout the year to do educational campaigns. Cybersecurity Awareness Month is when we do weekly articles out to our employees. We will do emails out to our students as well, just to inform them about challenges that might exist. Anytime we do have, if we notice a phishing attempt on our students, we will send out communications that make our students aware, make our employees aware as well. Dr. Robinson also referred to phishing training as well. So we will send targeted phishing emails that are for educational purposes only. We don't.
White hat.
Yeah, exactly. So we will send that out. Anybody that will click on it, we will have an information page about what it is you should notice with this. What should you be looking for? And we'll send that information out to the broader campus as well, just so they're well educated. As far as information security goes, it is a total college effort. It's not just any small individual team. It's everybody's responsibility.
Thank you. That sounds very impressive. So please don't go too far. So I notice here, and I know this is a cooperative agreement, and I see there's the Quilt and Caresoft Technology Group. Can you kind of talk about if they're having AI to read the emails, how is our information, especially like privileged emails, being protected? And do you all understand kind of where that data is housed and secured, given that there's various tools and maybe some other, like, where is our data?
Yeah, another excellent question. Thank you. I feel like you're setting me up for all the good. So part of our purchasing process, whether we are purchasing security-based software or just any software that the college might utilize, we have a review process where we will ask the vendor questions of, where do you store our data? Is it in North America? Where in North America? Is it overseas? When it comes to AI-based engines, where does that transmit? To somebody else's servers in the cloud? Is it locally, just LCC? How is the data encrypted? Can people see that when it's in transit? And so there's a myriad of questions that are part of the process. And then we have professionals who will participate in evaluations, and they will ask also questions. And so that's on the purchasing point in time. We will also conduct annual reviews for a vendor's compliance to our various regulations that we need to follow, but also, are they making any changes to where they store their data? And our team will review that annually as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Other questions, trustees? Hearing none, Ms. Duncan, call the roll.
Noel Garcia, Terry Frazier.
Aye.
Hope Lavelle.
Aye.
Chatham Taylor.
Aye.
Robert Proctor.
Aye.
Angela Matthews.
Yes.
LaShonda Thomas.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Moving on to D, cooperative purchase, elevator door replacement. Is there a motion to approve? D3. Thank you so much, trustee Garcia. Is there a second? Thank you, Vice Chair Frazier. It has been moved by trustee Garcia and second by Vice Chair Frazier to approve cooperative purchase under D number 3. Any discussions? Seeing and hearing none. Ms. Duncan, please call the roll.
Terrence Frazier.
Aye.
Hope Lavelle.
Aye.
Noel Garcia. Angela Matthews. LaShonda Thomas.
Aye.
Chatham Taylor.
Aye.
Robert Proctor.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Moving on to number 4, D, cooperative purchase, endpoint detection and response. Is there a motion to approve D4? Thank you, trustee Thomas. Is there a second? Thank you, trustee Garcia. It has been moved by trustee Thomas, second by trustee Garcia to approve cooperative purchase D4. Discussion, trustee Lavelle.
Yes, thank you very much. So especially as it relates to our endpoint detection and response capabilities, have some questions around the hours that we are monitoring and how that works.
Thank you for that question, Chair Matthews. I would defer to Dr. Samuel to see, would it be Bill again? No, the chief. Who am I calling on, Dr. Samuel?
No, thank you. Bill Garlick can share with you for this again.
It's back to the survey. I always go with your first gut on the answer to the question.
Yeah, thank you again for the question. So your question was about what are the hours that we monitor? So I'll answer this in a couple different ways. So our systems are constantly monitoring. In particular, this tool that is being referenced here in the board packet, that is 24/7, that our system has monitoring of all of the endpoints that it's deployed on. There are automated actions that can be taken with something like that. So that's computer-based monitoring. There's also a team externally as part of the vendor management. We'll also look at that. But we have my team members as well are on call 24/7, myself included. If there is a major alert, we'll get woken up. And our help desk also serves as that front line as well.
That's what I was gonna ask. So do we have like our help desk that's like a SOC setup, or is that outsourced?
Yeah, so that's a separate question altogether, not
Okay.
related to necessarily this, but it is
Okay.
related.
Okay,
So yes, a lot of organizations will have a security operations center, the SOC, or a managed service like that. That is something we are looking in the future to expand to. So teaser, I'm going to be bringing something in the future for a managed service like that. If approved, that's what we would look to expand the capabilities of my team.
awesome. Thank you.
Second, call the row.
Noel Garcia, Terrence Frazier, Robert Proctor, Hope Lavelle,
Aye.
Chatham Taylor,
Aye.
Angela Matthews, LaShonda Thomas, motion carried.
Thank you, trustees, for that robust discussion. Moving on to trustee-generated idea and initiatives. Under A, for the food pantry update, I am looking at page 65 in the hard copy of the board packet. And I want to move over to implementation timeline. And all I want to say really is Dean Miller and Dr. Robinson and your team, I am totally impressed. Because to be honest with you, I was not expecting such a turnaround. I thought this information would come probably a couple of months later. But you have definitely took to heart the request and the request command and begin to work on it very diligently. And so I do want to thank you, Dr. Robinson, you and your team. And it says in this month, the phase 1 expansion of food selections. Can you just talk a little bit about what those selections are? What is that?
Thank you, Chair Matthews. Dr. Welch, I'm guessing it's Dean Miller, if you would come to the podium. Thank you.
Dr.
No, that's okay. Oh, yeah, I always like to go through the reporting line, and thank you for those kind words. And you'll recall that when the board already took action on the TGIs, and this is us giving an update. And this is a project that the staff, particularly the folks who are closest to this work, are really excited about, and it means a lot to them. So let me call on Dean Miller to give you a little bit more information about that.
Good evening. Our expansion is just offering a wider variety of foods for students. So we just ordered more breakfast types foods, like Hamburger Helper has a cheeseburger or cheesy hash browns. We have pancakes in a cup. We have some walking tamales. We have a pretty broad offering of foods from different ethnicities. If you're vegan, if you are a vegetarian, gluten. So we're just expanding that. And then the other thing to remember for the downtown campus is that we are only open on Mondays for right now. We're expanding that out. So we are purchasing more food so that those students who would like to have, a second day of food opportunity can select that food during the one day that we are currently open.
Sounds good. Now, again, can you remind us before this expansion of these items, what items were available? They were kind of like snacky type things, right?
Yep.
Okay.
How about I brought the list? I'll just give you what I wrote down for like our top seller, or they're not sellers, I'm sorry. The things that students are most interested in. The number one thing is beef sticks, surprisingly. So we have different varieties of those, either the stick or the flat like jerky, various chips. We have tuna and salmon salad kits. They said the soups are very popular, and then the Hormel meals that we have, and they cover everything from fettuccine Alfredo to beef stew to chicken and rice. So we have a lot of offerings in that area as well.
And so I would imagine that the students are, just overjoyed with the expanded selection. You're
Yes.
getting good feedback.
Yes, and we just placed the order for the newer items, and so next week they will be in, so we will check out the feedback we get regarding those other options.
Awesome. So I want to go, yeah. So, August 2026, dedicated pantry space opens in the Gannon building and expanded hours begin. Talk about it.
Would you like to see the space that we've identified?
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, they told me they'd have it ready. I'm so happy.
Oh, cute. Are those the smart things? The smart lockers. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
uh-huh.
so that is right across from the seating area in the commons. And where you see the word new pantry, that is one of the doors to either enter or exit, but there's another door on the other side of the wall. So we're just trying to configure how we will have students access the food pantry. So super excited because it will allow us to have shelving there. Also, if you see the I'll go for smart lockers. We're looking into purchasing smart lockers, so they would fit right in there, and those would be available for students who can't get to the food pantry during its operation hours. They could come and pick their food up whenever.
Ingenious. Nice. I am so happy. We're so happy. We are happy. Just stay right there, D. Miller. So let's go down to the progress. So that space right there identified. And you have submitted the Hunger Free Campus Grant application. So that is in the process. You haven't heard anything from them yet as of today?
No.
Okay,
have not.
all right. Okay, and the Greater Lansing Food Bank as well. It says an application has been submitted, so no word yet.
No.
Okay. Wow.
And
I'm
the
just,
The
I
one
don't know
thing I
exactly.
want to say as well is the additional funding that you provided will allow us to maintain the food pantry during the summer semester downtown, which we weren't able to last academic year.
I'll clap. I don't care. I clap myself. Yes. Okay. That is awesome and amazing. Great work for the team and what you're doing and you to expedite, the need.
Right.
So-
So far this semester, we've had 1,299 students access our food pantries.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did the semester start?
January 12th.
Wow.
We had a week off for spring break.
Mm-hmm.
So
1,299?
so far.
Wow. Amazing. Vice Chair Frazier?
Are those individual hits?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Trustee Thomas?
In the summer, what is the traffic of students or the amount of students that will be downtown? Do we know?
I don't know what the average enrollment size is in the summer.
We mostly have online classes for general education, but our math and our science will be on campus. And then we'll have some face-to-face, so maybe 20% of our normal, 20 to 30%.
Okay. How are we advertising? So that students will know when, where, what,
It's located in our student top 10 and our student news on the monitors throughout the buildings. Word of mouth has been really one way that we've seen a lot of increase in traffic.
Thank you.
One last question. It says no architectural modifications required. So back before COVID, we had various food, spaces, and lack of a better word, restaurants. So Who used to be here? Okay, so so it's already prepared and ready to go. Awesome. Okay.
Yeah, if I could, Chair Matthews, I did want to chime on it. First of all, I want to thank Dean Miller and her team. You know, they see these students and they distribute this food, and it means a lot to us. And so thank you for that. But yeah. Your question, Chair Matthews, about the location brings up just what a team effort this is at the college. It's not just a student affairs thing, it's an administrative services and facilities thing. So as Patrick noted, this is the old storefront of the subway. So there is a back office area that allows this operation to expand. And I would really like to recognize Dr. Samuel, Chris McCursey, Tim Martz, and the facilities team that's been helping this group find a home, make sure that they can expand in the way. Oh, and look at, this is a team that comes prepared with maps and pictures. And so it really is a team effort. So thanks to facilities and student affairs. And we're really excited about the progress.
Bravo to each of you. Thank you, Dean Miller. Appreciate you. Any other questions? Oh, sorry, Trustee Lavelle.
Just one quick question. Could you talk about the My Leap Hunger Free Campus, the Hunger
grant?
Free Campus grant? Like, how much is it? And when you expect to, is there a date when they'll get back with you?
Hopefully relatively soon. It was due in February. We requested $70,000 to go towards the purchase of additional food and shelving and the smart lockers.
Okay, okay, oh, awesome.
And Chair Matthews, if I could add, the trustees will remember that My Leap is the relatively new agency on Leo, run by a former community college president, Dr. Beverly Walker Graffia, and also the entity that did the statewide task force on unmet student needs that was part of the presentation on the trustee generated idea.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna put this out here, about a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, up the street, and I do believe it is Battle Creek. They're doing, a massive, food pantry, scenario for their students. And there's, you can actually walk in like you're walking into a supermarket. And the students can shop, of course, for free. And they're going to have their grand opening at some particular point. And so when that comes about, I plan to venture down because I just want to see it, what it looks like. But I will, share that with my colleagues and, see what that's like. Obviously, there's a need. Obviously, there's a need, and the colleges are trying to meet the needs of the students, so it doesn't get in the way of their academic progress. So thank you. Next trustee generated idea is our visitor access update. Trustee Taylor.
I was
thought
just-
maybe you wanted to say something.
Thank you. No, I'm looking forward to April 30th because I looked at the breakdown and it looks like that's when, I'm just going to assume everything is going to be completed.
Yes, our goal is to have all the additional intercom cameras up with the additional signage by that time. That's the only thing that we're missing right now. We've gotten the product in, we just started installing, so eventually, by April 30th, we'll have it all in.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, thank you so much.
Moving. Okay, so next moving on to agenda item number 10, monthly monitoring report. Dr. Robinson.
Thank you, Chair Matthews. On page 70, trustees, you have the fiscal year 2027 estimate of taxes and appropriation necessary. Don, do you have some comments for the trustees about this item?
Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Yes, this is a legal requirement that goes all the way back, as far as I can tell, to the original 1966 Act for community colleges in Michigan. The amounts shown in this agenda item are the same amounts that were shown last month in the financial forecast. from a slightly biased position, it seems like there's not a lot of use for this item anymore, but it's a legal requirement and therefore we present it to the board.
So here it is.
Very good. Check, check.
Any questions, trustees?
Thank you, Chair Matthews. Next, don't go anywhere, Don. We have our monthly financial statements were provided for trustees every month. Don, any framing comments about the monthly financials?
Again, thank you. As far as where we are right now, at the end of 8 months into the fiscal year, the financial picture continues to be good, primarily given to the fact of the increased enrollment that we've had both last fall and this spring, and hopefully again in the summer. So things are moving along quite well, and we will definitely expect to have a good end of the year result.
Trustee Lavelle?
In regards to our monthly financial statements, I don't know if Don can answer this, but my questions are around, on Exhibit B, line 7 and line 13. You're talking about we're behind prior year pace because there are vacancies. The Community Education Workforce Development still has an opening for a full-time administrator and full-time faculty. And then the Office of Empowerment is 17.3 percentage points behind last year because there's vacancies for full-time administrator, full-time support, and part-time support. So I was just wondering if we can speak into our progress in filling those roles.
I'll defer to the individual ELT members that are responsible for those areas.
So I could start. So the one thing about vacancy factor is there are a number of contributing variables about how long it takes to replace a position. Sometimes we don't have the adequate response rate to positions we have out in the field. So there isn't a one-size-fits-all answer. We do find that we always do have a college vacancy factor where even if we start the hiring process before someone leaves, there's a gap there. Now I see Dean Gardner coming to the podium to talk about the vacancy in workforce. I can speak to the one in Office of Empowerment. I thought I saw Director McLean here.
She stepped out.
But she stepped out. But so that's a position that we're actively looking to fill. But one of them is actually kind of on hold right now. But I could have Dean Gardner talk about his area.
Sure. Thank you for the questions. One of the vacancies was my own vacancy from when I moved to the dean position. That has just taken some time to fill while I was in the interim role as well. We have an official offer that has been accepted, and that position will be filled, the Job Training Center Director, on August 6th. So that is fully wrapped up, just waiting for the start date. The full-time faculty position in my area is for an ESOL faculty member. That is
ESOL.
Speakers of non-native speakers for English language. That is a newer position. I made the decision to kind of slow the process for that one so that the Job Training Center Director could play a part in that hiring process. That will be their faculty member, and it was important to me that they had a role in that. But I would expect that that's also going to get wrapped up probably in May. Yeah. Yep.
While you're there, Professor Gardner, the program that deals with formerly incarcerated individuals, you'll be bringing some information to us soon about the progress with that for this year. Is that
Yes,
correct?
you are
And Are
correct.
you going to have another graduation?
Yes, we are planning one with Michigan Works right now. No date set. We are also going to have one out at Ingham County Jail Facility as well, and that date is still in the works. But yeah,
Okay, good. Okay,
yep,
great.
we'll
job.
pass that information along. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Great. Okay.
Next item, Chair Matthews. Again, C in the monitoring report, trustees, is the monthly police department report. The chief.
Sorry.
Oh.
Quick, before we go there, I saw, Professor McLean come back in to talk about.
Okay.
Yeah, Director
Other
McLean, if you could, if you could come to the podium, I'll kind of set you up. While you were out, we were talking about the vacancy factor in the monthly monitoring report. And as Director McLean kind of stabilizes things in her area, actually coming from me, I've slowed a little bit of the hiring down. And the question is, there's a vacancy factor in your area of unfilled positions. And if you could speak to a little bit about how we're kind of pacing ourselves to fill those positions in your area.
Absolutely. Just wanted to take the time to look at what our department was doing, division was doing, giving me an opportunity to kind of look at each of the centers to see how they're operating, finding that out, and finding that we do need to fill those positions. So we will be looking at doing that. Right now, we're working on the executive assistant position. We're in the process of almost interviewing for that position to have a permanent person there. And then that's going to help us then move forward with some of the other positions.
So is the executive assistant position the full-time administrator or the full-time support or part-time support?
Full-time
Because there's
administrator.
4 positions listed here. There's a vacancies in full-time administrator, full-time support. I'm sorry, did I say 4? Yeah. 1, 2, I'm sorry, 3.
We have the executive assistant position, and then for the Cesar Chavez Multicultural Center, we have a director's position and the lead position. Actually, there are 3 positions there.
So the full-time administrator, is that the Cesar Chavez?
Have to look at the numbers. I'm not sure on that.
Okay, so this the Cesar Chavez.
Yes, Cesar Chavez should have a director position, a lead position, and a coordinator position.
So the coordinator position. And so you're saying you're waiting to fill the full-time support, which is the executive assistant?
That's the one that we have the interviews coming up next week, as a matter of fact.
Got it. All right. Thank you. So we should see this
Movement.
department filled and
Absolutely.
moving forward here. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I get, thank you so much, Director
Absolutely.
McLean. If I could just add, one of the things that we're loath to do as administrators in our budget when we have an authorized position, even if it's not a matter of urgency to fill it, we don't want to pull it out of the budget. We want to keep it budgeted. And so thank you for that answer, Director McLean. Great. Now, next item, Chair Matthews.
Any other questions, trustees? Okay.
All right. Next, trustees, item C is the monthly police department report, always in your report and generated from our citizen contact data. The chief is here to answer any questions. All good.
Questions, trustees?
Okay, well, I can't go a month without pointing out what an example of transparency in policing this process is, and thank you to the chief and the whole department. Now, the last item, Chair Matthews and trustees, is item D, report regarding the diversity of employees. What I want to do is kind of frame this. We bring this report to you twice a year. This is work that followed on from a lot of great conversations we had about employment and demographics. We as a board, you settled on a reporting timeline of every 6 months. One of the reasons we don't do it every semester is the numbers don't change a lot. They actually don't change all that much in 6-month intervals, but these are important demographic pieces of information. Share it with you. And one point I would make that the team worked on, that Dr. Samuel brought me up to speed about, is that we have recalculated the census numbers, the community numbers, the N that everything is based on, to make sure it's more accurate to reflect the tax district. So with that, that's the report we bring every 6 months.
Questions, trustees? Seeing and hearing none?
Thank you. Those are the monthly monitoring reports.
Okay. So we're moving on to chair's report. You see, trustees, the planning calendar. March is very heavy, very, very robust. And so if you could take a look at those events, and see if you can attend. You can, if you can pop your head in or something. The faculty understands that we all have these full-time jobs, and so, and they know that we support them even when we're not there. So they know that we absolutely support them 200%. Also, I just wanted to mention something, that the Obama Presidential Library Museum is slated to be open June of this year, June 19th, as a matter of fact, which is Juneteenth. It is an amazing edifice. If you have a chance to take a look at it on the, out on the net, that would be great. With a surrounding mixed use of adjacent land structures. One thing that I marvel at is the digital presidential display that will be within this museum. And the reason why I'm mentioning this is twofold. Number one, it reminds me of our Change Makers Center, that, the event that we just had, but the standing of it right now. And that is breathing on its own when you have that digital display. It is a breathing, work of art, and I really do like it. And that's and I'm trying to tap dance on this softly, but maybe I should not and just say it. Okay. So our Change Makers Center is recognition of African American heroes and sheroes. It is not a federally funded structure. And that's very important to know. So with that, it has been curated with the best intentions and extreme care to pay homage to those persons who put sweat equity, social capital, and monetary contributions to build Lansing as a viable economic stakeholder in this region. And so we are unapologetic about what has been created and taken place for its cause. This is time you can be bold, and you can be proud of this great center, that honors and acknowledges, those to whom it's well deserved. And I say that because of the little buzz that's about as to, well, why is this, only with regards to African American men and women? And so I want to give a big thank you and gratefulness to LCC for being bold and for being unapologetic and getting this done. And so it is incumbent upon all of us to stand when that statements like that would come to challenge the why. And the why is because these men and women in this community have paved the way. And it's real simple, very, very simple. They have paved the way in so many ways that we do not know and will never know. So again, Change Makers Center, Obama, edifice, of course, it's not Obama, but, we're right up there, and that's something to be proud about. All right. All right. With that, moving on to committee reports, Audit Committee, Trustee Proctor.
Madam Chair, the audit committee is in hiatus. We haven't met in a couple of months. Everything seems to be in place and is appropriately handled. So I don't think we're going to have any concerns over the course of the rest of this fiscal year or going into the next.
Sounds great. All right, Policy Committee, Trustee Proctor and Trustee Taylor.
Trustee Taylor is taking on this role.
Okay.
Sure, I'm kidding. So we are in our first read for Board Bylaw 1.2 and 1.3. So Board Bylaw 1.2, we tightened up the language for all the roles of the officers and duties of the board, and then Board Bylaw 1.3, the board committees. And so does anyone have any questions?
Ask them now, because this is the easy stuff. You're going to have some challenging things to think about as we move forward over the next couple of months?
Well, I do remember that you put us on notice that a plethora of these were coming. And so I think we're just holding on to our seats as you shove them out. Well, thank you for your work. I heard that the committee meets very regularly and you meet for quite an extensive amount of time. So thank you all for what you're doing.
Proposed changes that are on the agenda for this evening are mostly cosmetic. There's some substantive things, but it hasn't changed the order of the board or the bylaws.
Okay. All right. Any other? No? No? Okay. All right, moving on to board members report, the foundation update from Vice Chair Frazier and/or Trustee Garcia.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate that. The foundation, so very proud to say that the Employment Development Fund Committee has awarded 8 grants to employees for over $10,000 for the spring professional development. So reinvesting back into our people. And then the other major announcement is the Alumni Committee has selected the 2026 Distinguished Alumni Award, Brigadier General Scott L. Myers. So those who know Scott, General Myers, please tell him congratulations. He has nothing but exciting things to say about LCC and how LCC was the foundation for his studies, the foundation for what he does even today, and understanding how to be in his job and skills. So he is very proud to be a LCC alum, and we'll be celebrating him for the 2026 Distinguished Alumni Award. All right, and that is all from the foundation.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Thanks, Kathy.
All right, moving right along to board members report, the Local Finance Development Authority Board update, Mason Local Development Authority, Trustee Lavelle.
Oh, good evening. So the big little town of Mason has been very busy over these last several months. So I'm excited to announce that they have recently built or rebuilt the water treatment plant. Its development was completed about a week and a half ago, and it has already received a statewide award. So just very exciting. And now they're going to start on the demolition of the old treatment plant. So just, you know, it was very insightful to hear about everything that goes into building a water treatment plant. But I am happy to say that not only is it built, but it was built on budget and on time. Oh, so yes. And the city is, yes, so they are going to have to, they've been trying to manage their taxes for a while, but they are going to have to increase that. But they're being very proactive around welcoming more development. So I'll have more news here soon.
All right, sounds good. Thank you. Okay, moving right along. Oh yeah, weather out there. No unfinished business, hearing none, seeing none. Is there any public comments? Ms. Benita?
We have one online from Melissa and then the 3 that signed up.
Okay, all right, so let's do the online one and then we'll have the 3 that are here in person. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Go ahead, Melissa. Maybe she stepped away. No,
I'm here, but are you seeing me?
Yeah,
Okay, great. Excellent. Good evening, Madam Chairperson, trustees, and Dr. Robinson. I'm Melissa Kaplan, the Arts Outreach and Academic Coordinator in the Arts and Sciences Division. Last Friday, I heard a talk at Rotary by Philip Behar, the new director of the Broad Art Museum. His premise, art is community. Of course, I immediately thought about the arts at LCC and want to comment as it's part of the context for my periodic public comments here. And an important part of what the learning outside the classroom activities we produce do: build community with the community at large and with our students. The skills and strengths developed by studying the arts and humanities are integral for those students majoring in these disciplines. And they're critical for students on different pathways to gain these cross-disciplinary experiences that develop their empathy, their critical thinking skills, their ability to express themselves, their ability to help build and be part of a healthy community. So to build community in the coming month, the Arts and Sciences Division offers for your awareness, and of course, whenever you're available, you're welcome, but we totally understand your extremely full schedule. We've got several reading events. Washington Square Reads will feature students reading from their work published in the Star edition of the Washington Square Review. The annual Women's Literature Read-In will feature LCC faculty, staff, retirees, and community members reading excerpts from women's literature. Historians at the Movies presents the film Triangle Fire, about a tragic 1911 shirtwaist factory fire that helped change labor laws and reform safety. And in April, Performing Arts is presenting the play 1984 in Dart Auditorium, a stage adaptation of George Orwell's classic dystopian novel. Finally, also mid-April, the Arts and Sciences Division, with support from the Foundation Star Day of Giving, presents the annual Take a Stand Sit-In Forum. We have an evening of films and a community sing in our third year partnering with the Capital City Film Festival, and a day of joy on campus with arts activities, improv and movement sessions led by faculty and staff. Our theme this year is joy. Joy is resistance. Joy is a means to reduce stress and improve mental health. Joy to build resilience and empower us. Joy to welcome all and build community through the arts and humanities. And joy, it's got to be pretty joyful winning an Oscar. So kudos to our LCC alum in digital media and the arts. Thank you so much.
Okay. So now we will go to the in-person for public comments. Please, ma'am, please, sir, govern yourselves to the 3 minutes. And this is where you can speak on anything that is on your mind.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Melissa Parling. I'm a certified CNA of over 10 years and an independent DHS provider. I am a healthcare professional, a Futures for Frontliner and Michigan Reconnect scholar. I am here on behalf of not only myself, but the state of Michigan to secure their return on their investment that they made with 5 years of tuition to your institution. I am here to audit the failure of this institution's integrity regarding my final grade in Nurse 241, which sits at 78.43%, a failing margin by 0.07%, which is the fruit of the poisonous tree of a compromised testing environment and documented ADA failings. Per Board Policy 1.01, this institution is mandated to maintain institutional integrity. That standard has been breached. The fact of the matter is now escalated to 8 separate regulatory and law enforcement bodies. Dr. Lohi and Councilor Cahill have prioritized administrative technicalities over the ANA Code of Ethics and the Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct, Rules 3.3 and 3.4. I am not here to plead for a favor. I am providing the board an opportunity to rectify a 0.14 point error before these federal, national, and state investigations proceed to their next phase. Uphold your own policies and grant this to me and the state that provided the funding for me to become an RN, which our state is desperately in need of. I thank you for your time, and here is a list of the different cases and the case numbers. I look forward to having this resolved and it not having to go any further, and especially not with your ACEN site visit coming up on the 25th of this month to have open grievances against you. Once again, thank you for your time and attention to this matter.
Good evening. My name is Susan Garmo, and I am part of Melissa Parling's cohort in the LCC nursing program. I'm here in support of her and as a firsthand witness to the significant problems that we experienced during the fall semester that compromised the success of our cohort and specifically Melissa Parling. Significant problems were experienced in the testing environment. I was present with the other members of my cohort, including Melissa, at the testing center for our final exam in nursing 241. A violation occurred when the testing center staff entered our cubicles and deposited a note on our desk during the exam. This broke the focus during the exam, and it was a critical moment. The college failed to provide a standardized professional testing environment. Furthermore, the students in the cohort were placed at a distinct disadvantage in testing material from a previous cohort's required text instead of the F.A. Davis textbook identified in our syllabus for our cohort. Another testing problem was experienced specifically by the students who test at the testing center, which involves myself and Melissa, as well as others who have accommodations. And this was a breakdown of communication between the nursing program and IT services and the testing center. There was a update that was needed in order for the students to take a Kaplan test, and the update was not installed, and the students who were waiting to take the test were delayed multiple times, and more than a week later were able to take that test. While the other half of the cohort, or it was more than a half, but they were able to move on and start studying for the next exam, and were being held back to take this first exam much later and then try to catch up. Okay, where was I now? Sorry. Given multiple problems that were experienced and with the inappropriate material that we were tested on, these issues together are significant enough to outweigh the 0.07% of a point that's holding Melissa back from attending or from attaining her well-deserved nursing degree from LCC. I urge the board to take the appropriate action to ensure the review is taken and will allow Melissa Parling the degree that she should be granted. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Dawn Kuzno. I'm Director of Labor and Employee Relations. I'm going to kind of piggyback off Melissa and tell you about two more events that Labor Relations will be hosting. The first one is Bring Your Child to Work Day. It's a nationally recognized day, and this year it will be on April 23rd. It's the fourth Thursday of April. So we'll be inviting employees to bring their child to work or bring a child to work. The programming will include some tours of their office and spending some time with their colleagues in their immediate workspaces. And then we'll have lunch and some programming that includes some program highlights, some activities, and we will end the day with an ice cream social. So we're very excited about it and have had a great response for that. Our second event will be International Workers' Day, which is recognized on May 1st. We will be hosting it on May 4th. We'll be in the Gannon Highway from 11:30 to 1:30 in collaboration with all of our labor leaders. So all of the union representatives will be there. We'll be passing out information about each of the unions and recognizing the day that grew out of the 19th century labor movement for workers' rights, including an 8-hour workday in the US, which is considered a legal day's labor as of May 1st, 1886. So Monday, May 4th, we'll be there from 11:30 to 1, passing out information cards, sharing some historical information about the day, and just being a presence with our labor leaders. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn, for that information about those dates, and to the two speakers that came beforehand. I'm sure that Dr. Robinson and his team will be looking into what was mentioned here this evening. Okay. We are going to move on to any board comments? Seeing and hearing none. We do not have a closed session. At this point, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. It's been moved by trustee Thomas, second by Vice Chair Fraser, for a motion to adjourn this regular trustee board meeting, March 26th. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? We are adjourned. Did you hear that?